Hello, this is going to be a post-commentary run of my Saint Any Percent Run world record. Now, this is going to be a commentary specifically for marathons that may be submitting this to, as well as people who may be interested of my thought process in certain parts. Now, we're going to be holding the S key when we fill that circle. We just saw a second ago, right when that circle fills, we'll immediately skip the intro cutscene, and then the timer will start. We're just going to be going up here. Now we're playing as Saint. Snow's not a normal thing in a lot of the other characters. And so if we're outside too long, we'll actually freeze to death instead of the eventual rain that'll kill us. Now that's not a problem with any of these runs because we're going to be saving before that actually becomes a factor at any point. Now we're going to be standing on this popcorn. Popcorn opening, because of how cold it is random. So we reset whether or not we actually get a good popcorn or not. Now we're going to be entering this shelter. We're going to be jumping up, putting our tongue on the ceiling there, eating the two popcorns as the thing's activating. We can retract our tongue that'll bring us through the ceiling, and then we can go into this room. Now, instead of us saving in the shelter like we normally would, we're now actually saved outside in that last room we were just looking at. So that is very useful. We'll be waking up there 3 times, and being saved in that location is much more useful than the shelter, on top of we don't have to wait for the shelter to actually open. Now, I know we're kind of just saying a lot of things. I can't even talk about the swing mechanics yet. We'll talk about that in a bit. But now we're meeting an echo. That's a spooky ghost from a past civilization. We wait for one text box to pop up, then we want to not be looking at it anymore. We go down the screen. And now it will raise our maximum karma. So now you need the first 5 karmas to actually be able to access different areas of the game. There are gates between each area, so you need certain levels of karma to actually access them. We can't actually leave this first region until we meet that first echo, and we're going to be meeting all of the other echoes of the game, so we can actually get access to the last area of the game that requires the maximum karma that we can get, which is 10. We're going to be eating 6 echoes, because we start at 2, and then one of the echoes will actually give us 2 karma. That's because how that works. But now we're going to be going around and trying to swing past some of these sections. Didn't swing too well through there, but it gets the job done as long as we're not going to a full stop. Although I only really like to try to go for the high speeds. Unfortunate tongue there. I like to try to tongue the upper platforms to the lower platform there. Looks like it missed it, but it still caught on the lower platform. So we're kind of moving on. So the thing with Rain World is that there are 3 buttons. There is grab, throw, and jump. And so the way the grapple works for Saint here, now none of the other slow cats have a grapple. You can pick up a creature called a grapple bug, and we can do a grapple that way. And the way you do Saint's grapple and you do that grapple, you press jump while in the air. Also, that was an interesting grapple there. Missed the first platform that I was going for, but hit the second one. Was able to recover it so I didn't go completely underneath the right platform. We made it. Doing some strings of rolls here. So now with the inputs that Saint has, you can press right and jump. If you press jump in the air, you'll do the tongue. So you have to be in the air to actually extend it out. We want a good tongue there. If we hold to the right and jump, it'll do a set diagonal angle. That gives us a really good swing. If we press up and jump, we will have a auto aim that'll almost always hit whatever is directly above us. It'll hit not the same angle as to the right. If we don't press anything and press jump, if our last input was left or right, it'll also do a specific angle, which is different, and will be useful for going through poles, because if we are holding up when we're going through a pole, we'll automatically grab it. So those are all useful situations. Additionally, comparative to the grapple bug grapple, Saint, when you press jump to make the grapple not grappled onto whatever it's touching, it'll also send you upwards slightly, which is very useful for getting the vertical height that we can get, but wouldn't be possible with the normal grapple that the other characters or slug cats have access to. But Saint, the character we're playing as today, does. Now we went through a gate there, and now we're going to be going up to our second echo here. We can tell by the confetti. Creatures in the area of an echo, anywhere where you can see the confetti essentially, will fall asleep. So in the case there's any creatures that could potentially kill us in the area, if the echo is up, they're not going to exist at all. So there's technically would be vultures that could show up here, but they're not going to show up at all. And that'll be something that we'll use in certain places to make sure that we're not having a bad time. It'll make things a lot more consistent, basically. Now, we are moving away from this whole Sky Islands and being really high up in the air. Any area that you saw with a dark gradient on the bottom of the screen, if you fell off, you would die there. This game is room-based, so anywhere that has the 3 dots, we can go through and then go into a different room. But a decent swing there. Took a little bit longer than I would have liked to have that set up. See if this swing goes well. That was pretty good. Now this next room, I like to experiment a lot of different things. I think we're probably going to go lower path. Okay, this is like a weird medium path I haven't done too often. But that was okay. Didn't slow down anywhere. I'd like to land higher up in that pole at the end, however. Last room's a little awkward because you got to flop on the ground a bit. Talk about our splits here. We got a 426 on getting that chimney echo, which is okay. I like to try to have under 420, but given that it is right in line with our previous 20% best was, we're just gonna go. First 2 splits are kind of just like, whatever, and then we're gonna worry a lot more about the others because I don't like to do the first 2 splits 1,000 times like everyone else does. As long as it's not like 5 minutes, I'm not gonna worry about it too crazy. I mean, well, if it was even like a 440, I'd probably reset. But we are red, green centipede. They fly. The thing about any centipede is that they work like a battery. If both heads touch you, you die. For the green centipedes, they don't become aggravated at you unless they see you, and then a timer starts, and then after that timer ends, they'll start being aggro to you. So we can just run straight into the guys if we want. There's a white lizard there that just went through the same pipe that we did. If we're going through pipes at the same time, we don't interact. We're probably going to see the white lizard right here. There he is. He's camo in the background. And I saw a shadow for a vulture. There it is. And we also grabbed this guy. I always kind of gloss over this because I'm thinking about everything else. We just grabbed this guy. So this is a yeek. It could be considered a frog. A lot of people would say Saint is a frog too. Saint is normally green. We've changed their color to be a light blue because that's generally the color that I'm associated with. But the yeek here is really good at jumping. The one problem is it needs to physically be touching the ground for us to get the big jump that we want. So we'll have we're basically trying to press jump at certain times, because if we hold diagonally on the ground after landing from a high height, we'll do a roll. And this has our body chunk and our head chunk basically interchanging spaces with each other and flipping over. And that will cause the yeek to be slightly off the ground at certain intervals. So if we press jump then, we don't get the boosted jump that the yeek gives. And we can't have that when we are going to be jumping through the worm grass in this next room, as well as a few other rooms that we're going through. And the big thing of why we have this yeek here is because of the worm grass. Otherwise, we would just go. In the past, we've had a few other methods of actually getting past this worm grass. The main mode of transportation is the reindeer, R-A-I-N deer, that we passed by a little bit ago, if you notice that. Now we're going to be moving on. I'm trying to jump in certain spots, so I have to have the least amount of jumps in the bad locations. The big thing about jumping through the worm grass here is that I need to basically press jump slightly after I touch the ground and start a roll. Otherwise, I'll get a bad jump and that I could potentially die. And so the big thing about jumping through the worm grass is the worm grass is going to be in front of us, and because of how the game works and how the foreground and the background works in different places visually, I'll need to be pressing jump at certain times. So paying attention on when and where that is happening is very important. But once you get used to it, it isn't too bad. It can feel very strange when you first do it. You're like, oh, it feels random. I'm jumping with the yeek. Sometimes I don't get it. But that's the thing. Additionally, one thing I didn't talk about here is that we're actually doing a special kind of roll. And so when we hit the ground, we press diagonally down, we hit the ground, or in other states, other than jumping from high heights, and we hit the ground and we're holding diagonally down, we'll do a roll. But if we press a soft diagonal down, like 15 degrees from horizontal, instead of like 45, we will get a different roll called a fast roll. And so if you look in the bottom left screen, because we are using keyboard, we have an input that I have marked as a Y, and that is the roll button. And so whenever I press that, it's me pressing a like soft down that's barely pressing down. And so if I press left or right while pressing that, it'll get me that fast roll. And so if I do a fast roll jump with said yeek, we will get a lot more horizontal distance than we would normally with one of the yeek's big jumps. Now we're getting another yeek and we're going back through here because here in farm arrays, we actually need to get the echo here. But we also need to go over to subterranean, which is off to the left, which we saved right next to. So we're going to save right next to subterranean. We're going to go back and get the farm arrays echo. And then once we get the echo, it's going to magically teleport us back to the shelter. And then we're going to finish going into subterranean. Now we're entering spider area. There is 2 red spiders in this area. And those are the actual threats compared to all the other ones. I don't see any. Oh, looks like there is one there. Just tried to shoot at us. So the red spiders, because we are saint and we are weak, the red spider can literally just walk up to us and grab us. We can't do anything about it. Normally, with any other creature, they have to wind up and then they have to bite us, which is very predictable and we can deal with it. For the red spiders in particular, because we are saint, they could just straight up walk up to us. The other spiders still have to wind up and actually bite us, which is why we're not too worried about them. The red spiders also can spit a projectile at us, which once it hits us, it's basically a tranquilizer, and after a little bit we'll fall asleep, and then we'll wake up after a timer, but it has its chance to close the distance if in case it hits us. That's something to be aware about. Now, we've dealt with a lot of the spiders in the past, which my specific pathing there, I actually stood in a specific spot to jump a bit to make that red spider move out of the way that was in the tunnels, if you saw that. But here we are, we're jumping across the worm grass pit. I actually jumped in a specific spot to jump over that patch of water in that screen before. Now we're in this room. We hope for a big jump on the first platform so we can just do one jump and make it over. We did not, which is unfortunate. There is a vulture. That doesn't mean anything because they're big and slow. The biggest problem they can pose is being a physical wall in the way. Now we're jumping down these steps. The worm grass here. We actually don't need the yeek anymore. This centipede, however, can kill us. If a centipede is bigger than us, it can kill us because this is an orange one. It's always active, always wants to kill us, comparative to the green one, which would be tame for about a timer 15 to 20 seconds. Now these are scavengers. They work like the player, which is probably the most terrifying thing. That being, they can also throw spears. Because we are saint, we can't throw spears, but scavengers, of course, still can. And so they'll work like monkeys, essentially, is the best way to explain them. I tried to do a jump up to this upper platform and do the fast way up. I did not get lucky with the jumps there, so we're actually going down here. This room is pacified, so we don't have to worry about any creatures affecting us in this room. Because the echo is nearby, is actually affecting that room. One thing to note is that because I did this off stream, and I'm just kind of doing this to practice it, the any percent run, I do not have the game volume on. And so wherever the confetti is, wherever the echo is affecting the game music that is also associated with this echo will not play as well. So normally we would hear the echo as we're approaching it. There's also a lot of music triggers that we would be hearing otherwise, as well as threat themes. The higher the threat that we're in, the louder and the more layers of that threat theme will be playing. If we actually look at the bottom of the screen, we'll see red dots, and those are visualizers of the threat theme itself, in case that ever shows up and you have a question about it. We'll also see white dots at the bottom. That will be relevant for when I'm underwater, and that's how much breath I have underwater. That's not too relevant right now. Right now we're entering subterranean. Say hello, subterranean. I super messed up. That's so unfortunate. Oh no. So we actually need to go into this pipe here to the right. There's an echo immediately right here. 3, 2, 1. Right now we go to the left. The text speaks, a little beast. All we know about these echoes is the first line they say. We don't listen to the rest of the stuff they say. It was just kind of like a little beast. So every time one of those text boxes say up, you just gotta say it. Right, here we go, back into subterranean. We've gotten that echo. Now we're going to be going into subterranean proper. Subterranean is the hot region for this run, and that being we're going to have to get an echo here. Halfway through the region, we're going to be getting an echo in a different region, and then we're going to continue through subterranean and end up in shoreline and get other stuff in there, and then come back to subterranean, and that's where we enter Rubicon, which is the last area of the game. We'll be ending the game, but for now we're entering subterranean. It's only 15 minutes in. We want 2 of these gooey ducks. As you may have seen a bit before, I like to prioritize picking up these gooey duck items that are hanging from the ceiling. I now have 2 of them. These items are overpowered. They can repel worm grass, and you can just straight up walk through any patch of worm grass by laying down, and the gooey ducks will keep them away from you. Additionally, each one is 2 food. Now, Saint only needs 4 food to rest, and so every time we actually need to rest in a specific spot, if I can, I will just pick up 2 gooey ducks and then carry them the rest of the way to the shelter. And then if I'm holding them in the shelter, it'll just automatically eat them for me, so I don't have to waste the time to actually eat them. Now, spider, mole lizard, caramel lizard, centipedes. This room can have it all, and it's really, really annoying. Really, really good. We only got the 1 spider. I kind of did a standoff at him to show him who's the big dog, and then he ran away. I don't fully understand that the basic spider AI, but I sure know how to exploit it to be able to go fast. If it was more aggro, I would move out of the way and go above and around him. But I hate losing time through that section right there, and I really try to go through as fast as I can. A lot of this run, despite it being doing the run really well, doing it fast, getting those grapples through areas really, really well, it's also how many bad RNG situations are you going to have? Because there are a certain level of places where you're just going to lose 30 seconds if you get bad RNG, or if you get too scared and you're not ready to force the situation. Now, there is a red spider in this room, and it was poking me, but did not grab me. It's very annoying when they show up there. I like to enter this room with 2 rocks in my hands, but I did not appear to get lucky enough to be able to have 2 rocks in my hands. I like to enter that dark pit and throw a rock immediately because it can be right there. I have a second rock in case it is around, but I also like to have one when I'm up in the gate up here, so that I can boost through the gate itself and do it much faster than just walking through it. Now we're going to be activating this gate. We're going to an area called Drainage, but it is now called Undergrowth for Saint, and it is entirely different. It was one of the few areas of the game where the cold effect of the snow does not affect you, or at least most of the area does not affect you. So you can actually just live here forever if you really want to. We're going to be walking through here, and we're going to be dealing with a bunch of spiders. Now, the spiders themselves actually killing us or grabbing us is not what we're worried about. We're worried about, 1, getting too close to the echo and falling asleep in a spot where it's going to block a tunnel, and then the only way to get rid of it is to unload the room. So there's actually 2 ways to deal with it, where 1 is let it get far enough so it enters the room way before you do, and so it abstracts and ceases to exist. Or once you've already gone in there and you notice that's blocking the room, then you go back 3 rooms for that room to actually unload properly. Now, these guys are causing me some trouble. 1 went up here. I don't like to see that. Entered the room, but we just entered the room too. So I'm going to assume that if I enter this, it is going to unload and it's not there, and it's not there. I love that. So the room that we're in right now only actually loads when we cross halfway of that previous room. Because we just entered it and the spider entered this room, it was going to abstract and just cease to exist. Because it really doesn't want to have the spider exist in this room, because they fall asleep and it likes to delete it and move it entirely to a different area, essentially. Alright, we're moving up through here. It's a tricky jump right there to do fast, at least. And then we are going to be getting our next echo. So now we're past the basic 5 karma, and we're climbing the last bits of karma. We're going to be getting Lions of an X. So we're going to be getting the first dash here. Oh, we're in the second. I'm forgetting the order now. We're in the second dash, so we've gotten 2 dashes of an X. So we need 2 more echoes, and then we're going to be done with our karma, as we're going to be crossing ourselves out of all of our karmas. It's the lore, essentially. But we'll also have something very important happen when we actually get that X karma. Very important for the movement. Now we're going to be moving back up here, and we're going to go through the Mirospurd tunnel. Now, Mirospurds are very annoying because they constantly snip their mouths. Their mouths are basically giant scissors. So with them constantly attacking, even if they don't know I'm there, they are a threat just because they are constantly tagging. Although with a lot of other creatures, I can just move fast enough by them. The Mirospurd, I am not going to have as much luck. Also, I got a gold split on that previous split. Very nice. Probably because I pushed back that spider earlier. There's a centipede here, which is not common. That is scary. Might die here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Jumped right in a bad spot. I think I tried to grapple, but I still hit the ground and then landed right on the centipede head. Not a bad death by any means, because it happened fairly quickly, but definitely not one that I would want to have happen in my personal best. Probably going to die another time because we can't do anything about this. That centipede can just decide to kill you if it really, really wants to, but again, we're right here. It doesn't matter that we have deaths as long as we don't die like 5 times. Then we're too low of a karma to activate the next gate, although we even have ways around that if we so need. Lost a good minute or a bit more right here, which is unfortunate. With any run, there's always going to be something weird happening. And now there's this Carmel kind of being in the way. Not going to challenge him in a 1-wide pipe area. And we're going to be moving back. So good to talk about a movement a little bit, especially like that. So Saint doesn't need it as much because we're going to be using our grapple as much as we can. But if there's only horizontal ground and there's no roof or otherwise, we're going to be defaulting back to the basic movement that every character has. So now we only have directionals, grab, throw, and jump. And so that doesn't seem like a lot, and it isn't. But we also can do combinations, just like with fighting game things. Also, I'm going to try to pick up these gooey ducks. Here are the Mirospurs. As you can see, they constantly attack. They'll also only move in one direction, and if they ever turn around, it is not for very long. So it's a little scary to see these guys up on that cliff right there, because they can jump down real fast. But again, back to the movement. If I press diagonal down while standing straight up on the ground, I will do a slide. If I press jump a little bit after that, I will jump out of the slide in a pounce. And then while I'm in the pounce state, if I hold diagonal down, the next time I hit the ground, I will always roll. And so if I hold the roll for long enough, and if I jump out of the roll again, the next time I hit the ground and hold diagonally down, I will do a roll again. So I constantly chain them if I really want to. But if I'm doing a fast roll, I can't do that. The fast roll, however, is faster horizontally and can be activated under different circumstances. So different circumstances cause for different rolls. Maybe we want to chain them. Maybe we're falling from a high height. Maybe we're just jumping from a 1-block high height. Then that's where we'd use the fast roll, so we can get that roll, get that initial pounce off, get that horizontal speed. I would have liked to grapple through this room a lot faster than I did, but I'm always scared of the kelp, and so I'll always do the invasive maneuvers if I'm not comfortable with what my current speed is. I additionally didn't make it across the big hit at the top. However, we did this room well. I would have hoped for a bigger boost right at the beginning to keep everything. Now I have these scavengers in the way. That one decided to go into the shelter there, which is fine. And we're going to go back down. We hope this guy doesn't follow us. So we start with neutral rep with them, which means they really don't like being near us, but they're not going to hunt us down. However, scavengers, along with every other creature in the game, have randomized stats on their aggression, on their skill with spears in certain aspects, and a bunch of other things as well. And so if we run into a scab that's just really aggressive, they can just really want to kill us just because they want to. So it can be very obvious to tell which one is which after seeing them react to your existence or any other existence after a little bit. I wasn't too worried with how that scavenger act ran away immediately, so I was okay with getting close to it, but also it went into the shelter, which I was okay with. Next threat here, you'll see two kind of colorful orbs near the middle of the screen. Those are snails. Now, Shoreline has a few snails that we're going to worry about in a few places. If a snail pops, it is going to stun us, but because we're Saint, we have glass bones and paper skin, we are going to have a seizure. And if we have a seizure in water, we're going to die. It is not good. So snails become another threat that Saint has that no other character has. We use that jetfish to move around really fast in the water, just like how we used the yeek before. Now there's this room. I see two snails. There might be one in the tunnel. This is the one that's scary. I can grab a snail. If one's in the tunnel, I'm afraid that I'm going to activate it. I will grab it and it cannot pop in my hands. But we do not have that issue, so we're just going to be moving on. There can be snails in this room. A little scary there. So if a snail lets go of the background, they walk on the background, by the way, and they hit the ground, whether that be in the water or otherwise, they will always pop. And so that one being about to pop was a little scary. They have an AoE, but it's also amplified through water. So that's the one thing I'm kind of worried about there. All right. So as we saw before, I carried and ate 2 gooey ducks in the gate entering Shoreline here. And then I had enough food to actually be able to save in that shelter there. Here we are in Shoreline, or it's Frigid Coast is the name specifically for Saint. Everything's been renamed because everything is so much different than all the other characters comparative to Saint. With the snow existing and really just the whole ecosystem changing over time, it's the most drastic change from any of the other slowcasts. Now, this is a scary situation just because of how the tentacles actually grab you. Having more than one tentacle from a jellyfish actually grab you is a bit annoying. Only the tips will grab you, so I try to jump down in the water and swim underneath them at particular locations so that the tips don't grab me. But I had 2 grab me, and it kind of move you around a little bit in the water, interfere with your movements. So a little bit of a tense moment there, but wasn't too bad. We're moving on. There's one more jellyfish. This area is actually a sleep zone. Jellyfish is not going to fall asleep because they're a placed object, but it prevents leviathans from entering this room. We will not see any leviathans in this run. At least I don't believe we will. I guess there's a small chance in one room, but I've never actually seen that in a run. But if I was doing story, the story run has us go back here, and there can be a leviathan in this room. It is a giant eel that will sometimes actually come around and eat that jellyfish that we were just looking at. And so, because of the echoes nearby, is not a problem. Now, this area, you may not be able to tell well. I'm listening to the sound cues of the game. You'll hear and that is the low gravity of the area turning on and off. Also, those lights being on means that the low gravity is on. And so I'm kind of annoyed right now because I don't like the low gravity on right here, but that's fine. Low gravity turn off. Now I'm really hoping it stays off through this next room because I don't like it being on in this next part. Of course, it turns on immediately and now I have to stay in the water instead of jumping out of the water because I'll jump too high and won't be able to go through this gap. So this is Looks to the Moon, one of the 2 big characters of the game. Now, I believe if this is a speedrun submission for a marathon, I will talk about 2 gods of the area. They're essentially robots that ran and did big calculations for civilizations in the past and are left behind by that civilization to help generations in the future, which, if they did a great job about that, that is questionable. But in this case, for us, it is our choice as Saint here if we want to kill them or spare them, essentially. And it is specifically, we would ascend them as we get the last echo, we're getting the second to last one now, right above Moon here. As we get the last echo, we'll actually gain the ability to fly, as well as a specific designated attack that we can control that will ascend creatures. It won't kill them, but it will cause them to reincarnate, as it is in the lore. Now, all of the robots are unable to properly die or reincarnate, so they cannot otherwise. So they're stuck in this horrible situation, really. And honestly, Moon has it well. She has her actual capabilities still active, while the other guy, which we'll not be seeing in this run, is barely able to form sentences. And so one of the big things that I like to say for runs, and why I like to submit any percent end story, is I would ask for an incentive if we would ascend them or not. In some cases, it could be, say, mercy killing, and some say it would say getting them out of a really bad situation and actually having nature form its course instead of being cursed forever to just barely be alive. We're seeing the second last echo now, but it's a hard situation. Save or kill the robots. Save or kill the gods. I still don't know what the best name for it would be, but one way or the other, a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about it. I've just kind of said my take about it and how I understand the situation, but a lot of other interpretations can exist. But we are moving on. No more talk about the lore. We're going to be entering what is 5 Pebbles' area. So now Moon was right next to 5 Pebbles. That was a Miros Vulture. They're just as bad as you think they are if you thought the Miros birds were bad, because these guys can fly. We're going to hope for a big swing here. Okay. Very nice. Oh, I got a tongue at the end there, but that's fine. I like doing that one really fast. I've been kind of trying to do that one more controlled recently, because I'm finding going really, really fast, I just slam into one of the walls a little bit too early. I'm going to take a drink of water, because I've been talking a lot. If I was to do... oh, excuse me. If I was going to do the incentive for... if I would do the story run or the any percent run, or whether we ignore or not the iterators with our magic ascend beam ability, it would be getting cut off about right here, because we need to choose if we eat the orange moss up here, because for the story run we would have to eat enough food to actually save in this next region right as we enter it. But for any percent, we just walk in there, get the echo, and get back into the shoreline. But as we're going to be doing now, if we're doing the story run, we'd have to eat the food here, the berries, the orange moss all the way to the left, and then save immediately in this area. So now this area that we're entering is the 5 Pebbles area, which, so looks the Moon, 5 Pebbles directly next to each other. There were a little bit farther apart in the past, but Pebbles is having a bit of a problem. And so this area used to be called the Shaded Citadel, but now it has the entirety of 5 Pebbles is superstructure, which used to be held up in the air, now is on the ground. It completely destroyed the Shaded Citadel, except for the left side, because it fell off towards Moon, off to the right. Now we're going to be entering... we're going to be seeing a lot of familiar rooms that we've passed by a lot of times in the past, but are now completely destroyed and overrun. We're not going to save at this shelter because there's any percent. Right now we're worrying about a blue lizard that can randomly show up. However, we're running into scavengers, which isn't very common to run through here. It is any percent, so we're going to see spawns in different locations. Now, creature spawns are the same every time. There are some variations where they're not the same, but that isn't as common. And for the scavengers, they just exist in a region and can decide to show up where they want to show up. So for the blue lizard, we know it exists. We do not know where it's going to move. There he is. There are 2 blue lizards, actually, so we're going to be thinking about that. This guy's always takes the same pathing if he decides to go to the left room. So we know to take the pipe going up. We'll see if we can go up to this pipe fast. Nice. Can be a hard one to get into sometimes. Looks like we're getting a lot of golds and really good times over my previous best here. It's a big thing, especially because of how good or bad I had RNG on creatures in the past. Sometimes the Miros birds can mess you up, but this was a time when I hadn't done any percent nearly as much as story. Story has gone much more crazy for me, and this run fits along the side of story. I don't know why I went up there. I was thinking, we're doing story right now. We're going to go kill Pebbles. We go up there to go see Pebbles. We don't need to see him. We need to go off to the right here and go get the Echo. I kind of forgot what was going on here. Not used to doing any percent as much. Now, going through this little puddle here is a bit annoying. There isn't exactly the best way to move through stuff. Now, if you notice the white circles on the bottom, kind of talked about it, that's how much air we have. You'll notice it goes away really fast sometimes. That's me pressing jump underneath the water. So if I press jump underneath the water, it'll boost, but it'll use up a lot of my air. It is bad in almost every situation to boost under the water. You will get less distance. However, if I'm trying to go for speed, I'm just going to constantly resurface, boost, resurface, boost, so I can move through there as fast as I can. We're just kind of moving up here. We're going to be moving in particular ways so we don't grab the poles and waste our time. This is mostly true for these next section through here. Also, one thing, kind of noticed a bit before, I didn't say anything about it when it showed up. If you grab something at the ultimate length of your tongue, you get brought to it at high speed. Now, I don't normally use that to my advantage. More happens accidentally. But there are situations where I'll try to force it to get really, really fast swings in locations. But it can be scary because you could just be too far away. All right, we're meeting the last Echo here. We're going to get a equivalent of a Rain World cutscene. Well, not really. Equivalent of a Rain World Passage, which is a specific image in itself. And now we're at a maximum karma. Maximum karma means we can finish the game. We also get the ability. The ability is we can fly, which gives us the craziest tooltip that probably most people have ever seen when it comes to this game. Press, grab, and jump in the air. I don't even remember the inputs. I just do things. Press jump and pick up to yes, to take flight. And so we don't actually need to use this for a little while. The important thing actually about it isn't that we fly, but we move faster in water with it. And now, because I am a master of remembering, I already knew this going in that I would do this. Going into this, going to do this. I forget that I have the ability because I'm so not used to doing any percent. And I do not use it through these rooms, even though I am supposed to be using it through these rooms. You move faster if you use the ability through water. You also do not lose air. So I believe I forget to use it until all the way to Subterranean, which isn't that bad. It isn't too different, just it makes it a lot easier to pull off than what I'm doing through here. Outside of that, I'm going to be taking the upper path anyway, so having the not using the flight ability doesn't matter as much as it is. So we're going to be entering Subterranean. So now there is a place in Subterranean called the Depths. So now the Depths used to connect to the Void, and that would be the end of the base game Slugcats. All of these Slugcats in the DLC, with the exception of the secret one, all have their own ending, other places that are relative to their specific story beat. All of these story beats also came to flesh out the world and the characters a lot more, especially Moon and Pebbles, which is why a lot of people feel a lot of different ways about Moon and Pebbles. Also, we saw Moon talk to us for a little bit. We don't care what she has to say, as we have a speed run to do. So now with our newfound flight ability, we're going to be using it to get on good positions so we can do really fast grapples. Hopefully there's no scavengers here, which there is not. And then I want to see how well I do this grapple. This one is a fun one. It's like we're going opposite, which means I need to stay high instead of staying low. Didn't go too fast, but we are consistent there, which is good. Accidentally wall jumped at the end, which is fine. There's a scavenger contemplating a lantern mouse over there. This guy really wants to stab me the way he's acting. Trying to go for a good swing there. Gonna activate so I don't get grabbed. I should activate going into this pipe. Yes, got a little stuck there. There's a centipede there. I'm going to use the ability to blow them up. The scavenger also died, which is good. So now I'm going to throw everything out of the way, and then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to forget to use the ability. Nice. It gets you after a while, not having the ability, and you're like, oh, I have magic powers. But also, you don't want to use it too much. As you can see, all the little orbs above my character. That is how much charge I have, and I can only use it so much before I have to wait a bit so I can use it again. So, can we use the ability going in this pipe? Because that mole can be there. We're looking out for a drop wig on the ceiling. Don't know how to explain this other than Lethal Company. I don't even remember the name of that bug in that game. But that the Lethal Company bug that drops on your head, goes around your head, is literally just a drop wig. So we actually saw it there, but it was in a place where it could not harm us. There's a mole lizard in the tunnel here. I can't really see it on the recording. Okay, so if it gets activated, the tips of the mole lizard nozzle are constantly lit, and so you can see that. On the recording is a bit harder for me to see it because the screen is a bit small for me, but know what to look for, you will see it. There is a spider, not in my way, moved away. This spot can be annoying for spiders. There's a few red spiders that can show up in this area. None of them appear to be in our way. We're about to be entering the last room. This drop here is annoying for mole lizards because there can be two that can enter this room. As one went through that shortcut pipe up to the other part. Don't see any more. And it looks like we're in the clear. We're now going to be making it to the depths. But because we're so far in the future and how the void works, the void has slowly eaten away the world underneath, and the depths no longer exists. So I'm kind of giving spoilers here. We're just gonna drop we're just gonna say everything that's gonna happen. We're not going to see the depths at all. We're gonna see an Among Us room. Sorry. Everyone that comes out of here will see that. Looks like Among Us. But we're going to enter here. There's just going to be this. If you drop down here without maximum X karma, you just loop down up from the top. And so nothing actually happens. But with maximum karma, we are now going to be entering Rubicon. This is the point of no return. We cannot go back into the base game anymore, which means we cannot ascend Moon or Pebbles. And so this is the big point where we are going to be finishing the run. Usually this takes about 9 minutes to finish this area on a good day. But this is Rubicon. This is an amalgamation of every single region in one. We're going to see areas alike to what depths used to look like first. So with these X on the backgrounds, like the one we just ran into on the ground, they recharge our ability fast for us. And we're going to be using it a lot here, especially to attack things and otherwise just to move. You see the Kool-Aid on the bottom there, I don't know, Sunny D, whatever you want to call it, that will kill you instantly. Now these are Guardians. They have 10 million HP, but for Saint, that means I'm going to hit you 3 times and then you're going to die. Or Ascend, or I don't even know anymore. Now, moving on, Red Spider, Evil. We're just going to boost by, because if they don't have enough time to react, they really can't do anything. And he decided to not deal with it. Red Lizard, I'm going to go down to bait him down. And then he's going to fall down and I'm going to go around him. The spit will interrupt your attack. So we really want to be in a spot where they can't spit at us. So the Red Lizard will spit at us. The Red Spiders will spit their little darts at us. And those will interrupt our attack and will reset it. And so we'll just be flying in the air doing nothing, essentially. Alright, moving up here, we're going to be going around taking the shortcut. We're going to hope we're not going to run into any more big creatures. A lot of random spawns here. The firebug, like that thing I saw on the right there, is not random, however. We'll see those in certain places. So there'll be specific spawns, But if they actually move into your path, is very, very random, and you'll see basically different things every time. We're hoping that we're not going to see a Miros Vulture come from the sky here. Hit this guy on the left side, so he hopefully moves towards us instead of away from us. Kind of just move up and down when I hit him. We're going to boost here. These kelp are annoying because they can technically still grab you if you're not paying attention. Little boost tunnels here. This helps us get some ability back while we're actually getting to the next places to actually need our ability. Funny glitch in next room. Miros birds, if they are abstracted and then realized as you enter a room, can be on any open square. And that means literally right where we came out of that pipe stuck down there, even though that is not physically possible. I did not see those two over there, but I don't really understand why they're able to do that, but they can be in really inopportune locations right as you enter a room. Otherwise, they work like normal vultures and just come from the ceiling if it is open to the sky, as you would expect. Now, we're going to be doing certain movements so I can use the least amount of ability as possible, as we need to use it a lot. That was really good grappling there, because we don't really have a much chance to use the grapple well through at least this little part. So having the ability to even do that much is good. We are really low on ability. I'm going to go diagonally up. That is not the sounds I want to hear from a Miros bird right now. Miros Vulture. But we have enough for what we need, and by what we need, I mean we're going to just fly in front of this thing and get our ability back. And this is where we can breathe for a moment, unless there's a Miros Vulture that is just in front of here, but usually it doesn't happen. Now, really annoying spot. We're at the farm arrays equivalent, but we're going to be entering the skies equivalent of this area. And that is annoying because there are two red lizards here. There's one. Now, I know they look golden. They just look cool in funny, evil Rubicon land. Along with a lot of other creatures we're lucky to not have seen. I'm kind of waiting for my ability to come back, but I'm also trying to bait to see if the other red lizard comes from the other room or behind us. Still killed the guy by the time we entered here. That red lizard does not like to follow us into here. Seems like he's getting scared by a vulture the way he was acting, so I'm not sure what was going on. Really low on ability, not a good place to be low, but at the same time, you're always going to be low here. You got to use it so much. So we're doing good now. I don't need it for a while. Getting past that room is really important because Miros vultures through there is really bad. Additionally, the firebugs that I kind of mentioned, they are docile, in quotes. These guys, if they get hurt, if you accidentally latch your tongue onto them, will blow up, show that they're actually covered in spears, and then will run at you and just kill you. Really fast grab, faster than any red spider could even dream of. And will just kill you. And all the little orbs on their back are actually Simtex. And they're edible. What a great item. A great creature full of many things. I actually like it a lot. That's not a joke. I just think it's funny. It's Simtex that you can eat. Now, we're still kind of just moving through a bunch of these rooms. It's more just trying to get the speed through there, and we're slowly getting ability back. Now, annoying room time. We are going to be entering Miros birds again. You know what the best part about Miros birds existing in an open sky is that means the Miros vultures can also show up. So, I'm not really worried about these guys in front of me. I'm a little annoyed because I have to slow down because they're so slow. But we just have to deal with it. I might have to kill these guys if I get the chance. They're also running away from me, so I can't actually hit them with ability because we can only do a certain range. I'm really listening for a Miros vulture right now. I might kill these guys. No, we're just going to go for it. All right, sounds good. Orange lizard room. We hope the orange lizards are not in the pipes. These are one wide pipes you have to go through. I accidentally hit the wall instead of on the creature there. We're going to hit these guys while on the charging ability. There's two more in the bottom left there. And that should be all of them. Here is probably going to be the really, really annoying part. I paused the game for some reason. Okay. He's going to be the really, really annoying part. It's actually getting through all of these bodies. So now, for orange lizards, the why they acted like this is because they act like scavengers in the way that they are pack hunters, but if one sees you, they all see you because they have the antenna on their heads. Luckily, they left this other pipe open for us, so that wasn't too bad. The annoying part is they're in the tunnels and you can't really go by them, but once you do kill them, their bodies are now just in the way. So, moving on, we're going to see some weird stuff. Orange Lizard's not too bad. Do not activate the Nice Man. Please, no Firebug. Reality is going to start breaking as everything starts breaking down. I love this whole sequence. Just going through Rubicon, all of that. It can be very long to a lot of people. There's literally every region of the game. We went through a really fast direction. This room, we just entered right here, and this room here, I find it really nice that they chose those rooms for the last room before we enter here. Because as Survivor, you enter those rooms, and it's 0G the first time you've ever experienced that. And now we're here, and now screens are looping. We're going to exploit it for our own benefit. We're going to use the ability. We're just going to ping it because we want to save as much as we can. We actually go through here. Now, if we ascended Moon and Pebbles, they would be in this room. We would not listen to anything they would say anyway, and we just leave and go up here. And we're using the ability Fast in Water. We cannot drown in this water, however. Didn't have too much ability saved, so unfortunately didn't do that too fast. Usually we like to get to this screen before you run out of ability. Not activate it in water because you need to be in air to do it. And time is right there. 5:50:05. That's really good. Even just me kind of thinking about it. I want under 50. I feel I can get close to 49. Especially because of some of the issues. Like I kind of pointed out, we died to the centipede twice there. We lost like 30 seconds to a minute. We can get to 49. I can get to 49 right now. I'm really excited about this run being done as it is. Because this is online with a lot of my story runs that I've been doing a lot of. But at the same time, just with story, with any percent, getting that next minute, it gets so hard. Both just doing the run really, really well, and just a lot of the RNG there. But at the same time, there really isn't that much RNG. It's just like, oh, sometimes this will happen. But you do a lot of runs, you start to see a lot of things, and you're like, that one thing happened at one time. It's gonna eternally haunt me. I'm just thinking about that. But that was my commentating of the Saint Any Percent run in 50 minutes and 5 seconds in-game time. One more thing I like to talk about before we go here at the end of this run is that I love to show off the ending sequence of this game. Now, I just end off the video here because we don't actually need to do the rest of the ending sequence for the speed run. But if I'm showing this run off in a marathon, and if I'm under the estimate enough, it's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes for the ending sequence. Probably closer to 5. I'm forgetting the timing for Saint, but we don't need to show everything in the end. If allowed by production and having that extra time on the estimate, I would love to talk about all the people that worked on this game, all the people that worked on the speedrun. I was fortunate enough to be able to work as QA both for Downpour when it was initially a mod and when it became official content for Rain World itself. I was very happy about that. One other thing kind of say that didn't make any sense. Downpour was originally all modded content, and it got brought in as official content, which is really big, especially with all the stuff that was going on. And now Rain World is getting its next DLC in March, that being The Watcher, which is really interesting. And I'd love to talk about all the people behind that and all the people behind all of the speedrunning. And people behind me have been supporting me for a really long time, as it's been a great just opportunity to be able to work with people on stuff like this in a game that I really, really like. Yeah, what I want to say. I'm going to go now. Bye.